Good morning, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal on a foggy Thursday. It's Thursday. A very foggy Thursday morning. There's not a lot of visibility. It actually was foggy last night when I came home, and for the first time, I don't think I've ever seen it before, when I went into the underground parking for my grocery store. It was foggy in the underground parking. The fog had actually managed to creep its way into the car park. It was fascinating. I'm hoping that you're all having a very good morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. And the reason I say that is I had yet another person write to me and say, you know, I go to sleep with your videos. So I find it fascinating that some of you wake up to them and others go to sleep listening to them. I don't really mind as long as you're finding some sort of benefit. That's the main thing. This weekend, I have every intention of putting down at least one life lesson on jealousy. And if I get time, or if I'm able to make time, I will also do one on other thing we had this week. Can't remember, but I will. But one topic came up that I thought I better address, and that had to do failure. That was the other subject we had this week, failure. One person wrote to me in regard to what happens if your relationship with your family fails. And so we've got sort of, funny enough, a blending of the two subjects, because 9 times out of 10, if your relationship with your family fails, it normally is due to a number of different factors. It could be due to the fact that, let's say, for example, that you are not doing what they want you to do. Sorry, I just want to get that out of my way. You're not doing what they want you to do. Maybe they had plans for you to go in this direction in your life and you're going in a totally different one. That would be, sometimes in some families, that would be enough to cause a major rift in the family. Sometimes there's a major rift in the family when you, for example, are addicted and they have tried everything they can to help you, but you refuse to get yourself under control for whatever reason, and therefore they give up on you. It may be that families give up on family members when they are criminal, and certainly that spans all socioeconomic realms. I mean, I'm amazed how many incredibly successful people have criminals as their siblings. You know, it's quite scary, and you have to wonder, you know, where did that come from? You know, you've got families where one child is a doctor, another is a lawyer, and the third one is in jail. Wow. So there are lots of different reasons why families disown their children. Now, the person who was writing, I believe, wanted to know how to cope with that, but I just want to touch on one thing in case that is true, so that the person who wrote to me can write again and confirm or deny this. But the other thing that struck me was, what if it's a child wanting to disown their family? And, you know, there was part of me that goes, I presumed it was the other way around, but what if it was a child wanting to disown the family? And there have been lots of cases where that has happened, and happened legally. So, that would be in the case of abuse, That would be in the case of some sort of emotional terror going on with the family, or that the family just basically is an extremely bad, toxic place for the child to be. Just by virtue of the way that the parents are living. Maybe the parents are drug addicts or raving alcoholics. I don't know what the story is, but you understand there are two sides to this in all cases. So let's start. I'm going to sneeze. Very possible I'm going to sneeze. Okay, so you've got a bone in your nose right about here, and if you hold just below it and pinch quite tightly, 9 times out of 10 you can avert the sneeze. We'll see. So let's start with the first one, which is, what if you have been disowned by your family, or maybe even a member of your family, and it happens all the time? Does it make you a bad person? Not necessarily. It might make you a very strong person. In other words, you have decided, rather than put up with the verbal abuse that you receive at every meeting that you have with your family, that you just decided to get out of the way of your family, as they say. And I totally relate to that, because I've got that situation in my family where I've got a sister that I trigger very badly, and vice versa. And we just don't see eye to eye. We come from two very different places. I find her very controlling, and she finds me over reactionary to it. But my reality is, you don't get to do this. And so it's a very difficult situation. So I just want to make sure you understand that I understand some of the problem. So it can be, I know a lot of people who have just totally given up trying to relate to their brother or sister. Now, we'd all like to keep trying and keep doing the best we can. And I must admit that I keep trying and doing the best I can. Every few years I do what I can to try and rekindle it, but every 2 or 3 years it falls apart again. But at least I'm responsible for my behavior, so let me be seen, and let me be willing to keep trying. So it's a very uncomfortable situation. So what do you do about it? Well, my recommendation is that if you found it necessary to dissociate yourself from your family for whatever reason, don't spend your life regretting that you haven't got a family. You build a new one. You build a new one and be grateful for the new family. And how do you do that? Well, you find, in your travels, you find somebody who you respect as maybe a mother figure to you, or a grandmother figure to you. It doesn't really matter. You find somebody who is the sister you always wish you had, or the brother you always wish you had. It's very amazing, and you just form that level of friendship. Now, does that mean that it will all go brilliantly well? No, of course not. But I thought it was really cute. Somebody wrote to me and said they really would have loved to see more of my family, because obviously we all loved each other so much. And I had to write back and say none of them is my family. But they're all part of my chosen family. And that's the interesting thing. So life is what you make of it. You can end up in a situation where you don't have all the things you wish in life. Let's think of some of those things. You don't have all the love that you would like in your life. Well, then somebody once told me, and I believe it was a chiropractor I went to once, so he said to me, Sal, work out all the things in life that you don't have and give it to somebody else. And I'm going, no, you got it wrong, guy. No, what I'm saying is, I don't have it. And he said, I know. But whatever it is you don't have, whatever you think that you don't have enough of, start giving it to somebody else. And I went, what? You know, the me thing wasn't working for him at all. You know, the pity party. Feel sorry for me because, you know, my family isn't perfect. Feel sorry for me because, you know, Feel sorry for me. This will explain my behavior because Really? Haven't you done enough of that? And, you know, I look at it and I can't tell you how many people, you know, I have to talk to about that, which is, haven't you done enough of that? Haven't you spent enough of your life blaming something that happened when you were a child? How many years have you spent as an adult and you haven't got your mind straightened out around that yet? And that's okay if you choose to live like that, but don't ask me to, you know, sit and listen to you whine and use it as an excuse for whatever behavior. So, I would ask you to have a really good look at what this is all about. Let's say that you haven't got enough love in your life, and that's what you believe a family would bring you. Well, hello, go give love to people who need it. You know, be a volunteer and do Christmas baskets for people. Be a volunteer, go and visit the sick. Be a volunteer, go visit the dying. You know, do something. I always give great credit to Charlotte out there in the far east of Canada. I always call it the Far East, Charlotte. You know, and she spends her spare time donating time to Ronald McDonald House, where there are seriously ill children. Way to go, Charlotte. She doesn't spend her time feeling sorry for herself. She spends her time giving to others. And I have no doubt that it really has helped Charlotte in so many ways. And I am certain there are a lot of you who, instead of feeling sorry for yourselves, take yourselves out of yourself and go and give to others. So, if you haven't got enough money in your life, boy, and there are a lot of people, you know, that really feel that. And I want to tell you that, I was going to say, including myself, there are times that I have felt that recently as well. And you can't just get money, you have to earn money. So the question is, are you prepared to do more? Your money doesn't grow on trees. You know, money is something that you earn. So the question is, do you have the talent to earn more? And if you don't, are you prepared to go to night school, you know, and improve your skills so that you can earn more? Or are you going to sit and complain about it forever? I don't know. This is your choice. So what I'm trying to get over in this particular vlog is, we all have things we could complain about and say, okay, pity me because, you know, I haven't got the perfect family. Pity me because I've had to let's say I've had to disown my children. And I'd certainly be interested to hear if any of you had to go through that trauma. I know of at least one viewer who threatened their child with that because they were going down a drug path. And they just literally, faced the child down. I mean, I think he was probably a teenager or early 20s, and said, you got to make a choice now. Do you want your family or do you want the drugs? And that's your choice. And we need you to give it some serious thought. I had to do it with a friend of mine. I had a friend who went through some tough times, and he said to me, well, actually, Sal, I'm going to go back to being a drug pusher, because apparently that's what he'd been prior to the time that I met him. I'm going to go back to pushing drugs because I need the money. And I said, well, then you and I need to part company right here and now, because I choose not to be associated with somebody who does that. And quite honestly, I haven't seen him since. But I did say, if ever you don't do that, feel free to get back in contact. His choice, not mine, his. So I think what happens to us, we spend too much time being bent out of shape, the emotional pretzel I talked about last week. We get bent out of shape by the behavior of others, when really it's our choice whether we get bent out of shape or not. Or do we just go, hey, you want to disown me? That's okay. You see, I'm not that tied to anything. And I think that's where the Zen thing comes in, for those of you who study Zen. Which is, it's like, don't get too emotionally caught up in anything. If you get emotionally caught up in things, it can break your heart. I'm not saying get a tough, ice heart. No. Not at all, but don't let things control you. So is my worth attached to my relationship with my sister? No. That is not my worth. And if I think, oh gosh, I'm a bad person because, I've got a bad relationship with my sister, I will remind you I'm only half of the problem. You see, I don't see it then. It's just like, okay, we chose not to fight. I chose not to be the whipping boy, and I got out of the way. That's a choice. So, does it make me sad some days? Sure, of course it does. But overall, it really doesn't affect my life that much, because I have people who fill that role in my life. I have friends who fill that role. And they're actually quite pleased to see me. Which I sort of love. So, hoping this made some sense to some of you. And I'm certain it probably triggered a couple of you in places. And that's also okay. If you find it triggered you, there are probably still parts of this puzzle that you need to process and work out for yourself. So feel free to write if you want to. And I want to thank those of you who've written to me and said that the way in which I'm discussing these sort of things is really helping you because it's so normal. You know what I mean? It's everyday stuff. Well, I think what's wrong with a lot of our understanding of these issues is that people are not giving us everyday examples. You see, I think every day is a lesson in life if you want it to be. Every single moment of every day at some level is a life lesson. Because every single moment of every day we are making choices. And as long as we are making choices, we are controlling our lives. If we are letting other people make all the choices, we feel helpless. And whether that is in... Now, I don't mean as a child, because as a child you're duty bound to let other people make a lot of the choices. That's what being a child is about. But once you've proven yourself to be trustworthy and an adult in your thinking, you normally get to make more and more of your own decisions. So with that thought in mind, I've also met an awful lot of adults whose mind was still very childish. You know, they did not see that the choices they make every day keeps them in the place they don't like to be, and yet they constantly are still blaming everybody they can except themselves. Pretty sad. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a great day, sleep well, bye-bye for now.